What if I told you that a 15-year-old girl with nothing but 3 baseballs just took down 3 armed attackers and saved a billionaire's life? This isn't some Hollywood movie. This actually happened, and the way she did it will blow your mind. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. The billionaire's reaction to meeting his teenage hero changed both their lives forever. The rain hammered the concrete like bullets, and Marcus Sterling had no idea he was walking into the most dangerous night of his life. The rain hammered the concrete like bullets as
Visionaries
Marcus
fam.
Sterling, CEO of Sterling Tech Industries, pressed his phone against his ear. Worth $2.3 billion, he owned skyscrapers that touched the clouds. Yet tonight he was trapped in the narrow alley behind Giuseppe's restaurant, desperately trying to get cell service. "Come on, pick up," he muttered, his designer suit already soaked through. His driver had called in sick, his backup car wouldn't start, and now his phone was barely getting 1 bar of signal. The irony wasn't lost on him, a tech billionaire defeated by basic connectivity. What Marcus didn't see in the shadows were 3 pairs of eyes watching his every move. Jake Morrison, Tommy the Knife Rodriguez, and Big Eddie Kowalski had been stalking him for weeks, studying his routines, memorizing his patterns. They knew about his driver calling in sick tonight. They knew his backup car wouldn't start. And they definitely knew he'd be completely alone in this alley. "Rich boy's all mine now," Jake whispered, flexing his scarred knuckles. Tonight, one night's work would change everything. But they weren't the only ones watching. Well, what do we have here?" The voice behind Marcus made his blood freeze. He turned to see 3 men emerging from the darkness, moving like predators who'd finally cornered their prey. This wasn't random. Their eyes held too much knowledge, too much calculation. They knew exactly who he was, exactly how much he was worth, and exactly how vulnerable he was right now. "Gentlemen, there's been a mistake," Marcus said, his voice betraying the fear crawling up his spine. The alley walls seemed to close in around him as he realized there was nowhere to run. "No mistake, Mr. Billionaire," Tommy snarled, his switchblade catching the dim streetlight. "Marcus Sterling, net worth $2.3 billion. And tonight, you're going to share." The knife moved closer. Big Eddie's massive fists clenched. Jake's grin turned predatory. Marcus pressed against the brick wall, his mind racing through impossible escape scenarios. For the first time in his privileged life, money couldn't buy him out of this nightmare. But 60 feet away, someone was about to change everything. Across the street, 15-year-old Zara Washington was fighting her own battle with the storm when she noticed something that made her heart stop. 3 men, 1 victim, a knife glinting in the darkness. Most people would have called 911 and hoped for the best. Most people would have stayed safe and minded their own business. But Zara Washington wasn't most people. Growing up in East Cleveland had taught her that sometimes you're the only help someone's going to get. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "Baby girl, you can't always wait for someone else to do what's right." Her fingers found the baseballs in her gym bag, 3 perfect spheres that had made her Lincoln High's most feared pitcher for 3 years running. Coach Martinez always bragged she could hit a moving target at 60 feet in her sleep. Tonight, those skills were about to become a weapon. Zara stepped into the rain, her heart pounding as she calculated angles, distances, and timing. The attackers had no idea that their perfect crime was about to be ruined by a teenager with deadly accuracy. She pulled back her arm and whispered a prayer. "Don't miss now, Zara." "Hey." Zara's voice cut through the storm like a battle cry. The 3 attackers turned, confused and annoyed. Tommy laughed, still holding the knife inches from Marcus's chest. "Look what we got here. A little hero. Get lost, kid, before you get hurt." "Last chance," Zara called out, already in her pitcher stance. "Walk away now," Jake snorted. "Or what, little girl? You gonna throw a tantrum?" Wrong question. Zara's first baseball exploded from her hand like a cannonball. It struck Jake's shoulder with a sickening crack that echoed through the alley. He screamed and stumbled backward, his arm hanging at an unnatural angle. "What the hell?" Big Eddie started to turn, but Zara's second throw was already airborne. This one buried itself in his stomach with surgical precision, doubling him over as he gasped for air. Marcus watched in absolute shock as this teenage girl dismantled his attackers with impossible accuracy. Tommy, seeing his partners writhing in pain, raised his knife toward Marcus one last time. "You're dead." But Zara's final throw was pure poetry, a perfect strike that hit Tommy's wrist so hard the knife went flying across the wet pavement. He collapsed, clutching his shattered bones and screaming. "Cops are already on the way," Zara shouted, holding up her phone. "3 suspects down behind Giuseppe's." The attackers scrambled away into the night, supporting each other as they disappeared, leaving Marcus staring at his unlikely savior in complete amazement. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus stood frozen against the brick wall, rain streaming down his face, staring at the most incredible thing he'd ever witnessed. This slip of a girl, she couldn't weigh more than 120 pounds, had just destroyed 3 grown men with nothing but baseballs and surgical precision. "Sir, are you okay?" Zara jogged across the street, concern written across her young face. "Did they hurt you?" Marcus tried to speak but couldn't find words. His hands were shaking, not from fear now, but from pure awe. How did you do that?" Zara shrugged like taking down armed attackers was just another Tuesday. 3 years varsity softball. Coach always said I had good aim. Good aim? Marcus laughed, a sound caught between relief and hysteria. "You just took down 3 armed men with pinpoint accuracy in the middle of a rainstorm. That wasn't good aim. That was superhuman." "I'm Zara Washington," she said, extending a rain-soaked hand. As Marcus shook it, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in decades, this billionaire who owned skyscrapers and commanded boardrooms felt genuinely humbled. Here was a teenager who had risked everything for a complete stranger, asking for nothing in return. "Marcus Sterling," he replied, "and I owe you my life." "Just glad I could help," Zara smiled. "Though maybe don't walk down dark alleys alone anymore." As they walked toward the street together, Marcus realized something profound. Sometimes the most unlikely heroes create the most incredible miracles. And sometimes getting saved changes the savior's life just as much as the saved. Sometimes the most unlikely heroes create the biggest miracles. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Black Visionaries for more incredible tales. What would you have done in Zara's shoes? Let me know below.